Most people apply blush to the exact same place every time and it ends up actually adding years to their face. But if you just shift it very slightly and think about the shade that you're going to use, it can actually take off years. Your face is going to look more lifted, it's going to look more fresh, youthful, and just generally a lot more healthier. And if you've ever felt like you look tired or dull on a particular day and you're wondering exactly what you need to do to not look like that, then this is it. Today I'm going to show you the blush placement that's going to take years off your face, make you look youthful, all of the above, everything that I've mentioned, and I know you're going to love it. So if you are new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Nina, and if you have been around for a while, welcome back. We all know what this channel is about, educational beauty. I'm a makeup artist. I've been working on celebrities and royalty and shoots and all sorts, hundreds of different faces for over 2 decades, and I have a lot of knowledge to share. Honestly, when it comes to blush, the tiniest adjustment can make a big difference, and I know this because I've done it on myself, where I used to apply blush in a certain area and then I ended up hating blush. So I used to apply it in the area that everyone applies it, kind of like more along this cheek area here, and sometimes that works, don't get me wrong, but I used to kind of like apply it up here and sometimes like a little bit kind of to the side, more like where I do my bronzer and stuff, and eventually I started hating it and then just didn't wear blush for so long. Like I had like some friends used to say to me, oh, like they used to know how much I hated blush, and it was mainly, and I didn't realize at that point, mainly because of the placement. But yeah, I don't know why I just didn't change the placement at that point, but yeah, I started loving it, and I think it's more as I went into my 40s that I started loving it. I think maybe because I look a bit more I looked a bit more tired and kind of like shattered, so I was like, okay, I need something, and this worked. So like, I think that goes to show as well, like exactly what I said about how things change as you go into your 40s. Like, this is the thing with makeup, you can't keep putting it on the way you were putting it on when you were 20, right? So as you are growing and getting into your 30s, getting into your 40s and beyond, like things need to change because your face changes. So you need to change with it, because otherwise you're just going to be stuck in the same place and it's just not going to look right. So I realized that. So over time I started to change the way that I apply certain makeup. And by the way, this goes for more or less everything that we apply. This isn't just about blush, but today we're talking about blush. So let's talk about why blush placement is so important. And I'm going to talk about this while I'm putting my concealer on, by the way, because I've got a little bit of tinted moisturizer on, but I do need to add a bit of concealer so that I look a bit more awake. I'm going to use my Too Faced Born This Way in Sand, and I'm just going to use my spray here. I've just got this at the back of my hand. I'm just going to take it off from here. So let's talk about why blush placement actually matters. I feel like blush is one of those products that's really underrated until you end up kind of putting it in the wrong place. And then you realize, like applying it on the apples of the cheeks, you know where I said like I used to kind of apply it, I used to go a little bit up towards the side, but not necessarily high. That's like something that works when you're in your 20s. Do you know what I mean? But like later on, as you are aging, it's just not going to work. If anything, I feel like it does make you end up looking older. Like applying blush in the areas like here and here when you are in your 20s and things are naturally high anyway is fine. It's not really going to make a difference, right? You're not trying to lift anything because everything's already lifted. But as you get older, everything drops. So when you apply it in those same areas, you're just kind of enhancing what's dropped. So you need to change things, change your approach to makeup so that it's not so much about just applying it and just enhancing what you have. It's also now applying it, enhancing what you have, but lifting what you have as well. Okay, let's just set this quickly because otherwise that's going to crease. So I've just got my Huda Beauty Easy Bake. Let's just dust that off. There you go. Okay, let's just add our concealer where we usually do. So I've got my Hollywood complexion brush. I'm just gonna like blend in these bottom parts and maybe the sides. So like when it comes to blush, the right placement brings you youthfulness. It brings you a bit more bounce and health to the skin. And it also does help to actually bring structure back to your face. So blush is a really good product to use when you want all of those things, but you don't necessarily want harsh lines, you know, like how contour gives you, or maybe sometimes bronzer can give you. So we're just going to take this up so that the only thing left to blend with a sponge is that under eye area. Honestly, I would say look at blush as instant scaffolding. If you place it in the right place, then it's going to do all the lifting for you. So let's just blend this in here. Let's get that nicely blended. And a good base obviously does make a difference to your blush. Like, you want to make sure you've got your base nicely kind of like buffed into your skin. Now, if you ever feel like it's just sitting there, just kind of like switch over the sponge and just lift off any extra that you think is there that doesn't need to be there. Or you could even get a tissue and blot your face. That really does help. Okay, so let's go through, while I'm doing my brows, just a few little bits that I think are going to make a big difference to you. And this is kind of like, you know, when it comes to like where you apply it, like applying it in the wrong places, what that can end up doing. So I am just going to get my Anastasia brow pen and just do a few hairs. Let's just get these out of the way first, actually, and then we can really focus on what you should and shouldn't do for your blush. I've got my Charlotte Tilbury brow cheat. This is in black brown. I really do need the lighter shade, but I've run out. So I'm gonna just go with this. Okay, so when you apply your blush on the apples of your cheeks, it becomes more rounder there. So this is where I was saying that it can help with certain people, right? So if you feel that you lack a lot of volume in the middle of your face, then applying your blush there could actually help, because it makes it look a lot rounder and can end up giving you that kind of fullness in your cheeks right there if that's what you're looking for. But it also does not help to lift anything. So just bear that in mind. Also, when you do end up adding blush to that center part of your cheeks there and it goes too close to your nose, it can end up dragging everything inwards and end up kind of making the center of the face look heavy. So it just kind of like pulls everything, pulls your features inwards, and just everything looks heavy in the middle. Also, when you are going to be using a matte blush, like fully matte powder blush, it can end up looking very flat on the face. It can end up looking tired and kind of one-dimensional. So really try and pick something that has a slight kind of either a satin texture to it or just something that doesn't state that it's matte, which means it's not going to be overly matte. So even if it doesn't state what the finish is, sometimes that can be better than just going for a blush that claims to be matte. Now, another thing is when you use liquid blushes that are matte, I don't feel like they're as bad as powder blushes that are matte, because I feel like you still get that slight kind of dimension to your face even when they claim to be matte, because they are liquid. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so we're going to be using a liquid blush here, or cream blush actually. I'm going to be using, which is one of my favorites at the moment, my Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Blush Stick in Dusty Rose. This is such an amazing color. I absolutely love it. So we haven't applied powder to our face, obviously, so our base is kind of done, and we want to add the cream blush before we move in and set everything. So what I'm going to be doing is getting my Hourglass 15 brush. This is a great brush to work with cream or liquid blush. This works so well. Like, it's the perfect brush for blush. Now what we're going to do is go onto this product here. And this is where I said to you, make sure that you don't have a whole load of product here. So even if you want to get a tissue to blot, you can. It really does help, trust me, because it's not going to take everything off. It just takes the excess off that you don't need. So like, that's actually taken some off, which means that you're not going to have that heavy finish either, right? So now what we're going to do is, the apples are here. We're going to go above the apple area. And we're going to focus on this area here, which is a lot higher. So that's where we start. We start from the top part of the apple and then we take it up. Now, I've seen some people do this and they take it too far up into the temple here. You can if you want, but I think it doesn't look so natural there. So I wouldn't go that high into the temple. It's really about kind of going the highest part of your cheekbone, not your temple. So see how we've got that really nice blush lift there? This has lifted the face a lot more, and we haven't even got any contour or anything on. So let's go into some more, dab it on a tissue in case you don't want too much product. So from the top part of the apple, going up into the peak of the cheekbone, not into the temples and not on the actual apples here. So like you imagine, this has already gone over my apple a little bit, but imagine if we were really focusing on going there, it becomes too much right in the middle of the face. Right, what I want you to do, this is a very easy way for you to actually understand this. I want you to imagine a line that goes from the corner of your mouth to the top of your ear, right? That's that line there for you. You want to make sure your blush is above that. So that's the rule of thumb here. If you find it difficult in terms of placement, like I just showed you by applying it, like I was like, this is where you put it here, but equally everyone's face shape is different. Everyone's features are placed differently. So what I want you to do is imagine a line and get like a brush if you need to, like just to, as a guide. Imagine that line from the corner of your mouth here, going all the way to the top of the ear. That is where you should not go below with your blush. Everything needs to sit above it, right? So just remember, that's a really easy way for you to understand that. So focus more on the top part here and blend upwards and outwards, not inwards. Never go in. You're always going upwards and outwards. And another little tip for you, never smile when you're applying your blush. The way that I see it, always apply your makeup in a normal poker face look, because most of the time that's how our faces are, right? You're not walking around like that smiling all the time, so don't apply it there like that, because you've got these creases here and you're going to leave gaps there. So make sure that you do look straight ahead in the mirror and you're not slanted, you're looking straight ahead and no smiling. So as I am gonna start kind of setting this, we're gonna talk about the formulas and things and how these different kind of formulas look. I've already kind of gone through the matte, you know, blush with you. So let's get rid of any creasing that we have and let's set this. There you go, get our powder. Because you set everything as normal. And this will keep it there all day. So let's get rid of this. Okay, so another little trick before we go into like all the formulas and everything. Once you set your face, if you feel like you want to go over with some more powder blush, because maybe you feel like actually I need some more, then you can do with a powder blush. So for example, you can get a powder blush. Let's go for the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow in Rosewood, because it's pretty similar to the blush color that we used. And I've got my BK Beauty 107 brush. I'm gonna go into this blush. Make sure you definitely pat onto a tissue, right, with powder. And then we're gonna go in the same place. This is really gonna give you that added color, and it will also stay put. So if you struggle with blush kind of staying put all day, this is a great trick for you. Also, that blush in particular is a really nice powder blush. It's probably one of the best powder blushes I've come across, because it genuinely isn't overly matte. It does give this really nice luminosity to the skin, which isn't obvious, and it seems to kind of just not age you. It actually is great for mature skin and textured skin. So let's go through these formulas, and I'll just do a few other bits while I'm doing that. So I'm just gonna curl my lashes with my curlers. So the formulas, if you go for a cream blush, you're gonna get a fresher, more youthful finish from your blush. Cream blushes melt into the skin really nicely rather than actually just sitting on top. Okay, let's put my mascara. I'm going to use my Milk Kush mascara today. I've just realised I need to start using all the other mascaras I've got sitting around. Powder blushes, great for longevity, but be light-handed with it. And you've got to remember that if you go too matte with a powder blush and too powdery, it can end up looking really flat. Right, when it comes to, you know, the blushes that are kind of like gels and tints, you know, like the Milk Making Cooling Water Jelly Tint, what else is there? Sephora do a couple similar ones. Yeah, or Glossier have one. Like those type of blushes are great that kind of like, that didn't make sense. They're great for if you want that kind of very easy flushed look, like you've just come back from like a walk. Like it really does tint the skin, and I feel like that's really good if you want that kind of just flushed look to your cheeks. In terms of brushes, for gels and creams, I would 100% recommend like a stipple or fluff brush. I personally prefer stipple, and even then you've got to be careful that it is a good stipple brush. Something like the Hourglass 15 brush is absolutely amazing. I have to say that is the best brush I've used for blush. If you go for like a big blush brush, it's too big, it's too wide, you're covering too much surface area on your skin. It just spreads too wide, and it's just not gonna, it's not a great option because you haven't got as much precision when you're applying your blush then. Okay, let's talk about color choices while I just bronze up my face a bit and give myself some kind of shape. I've got my Fenty Sunstalker in Private Island. If you go too deep with your blush and too muddy, it's gonna end up like making your face look harsh basically. If you go too pale and too chalky, it's gonna make you look really washed out. Do you see why it's so important to pick the right color? Because it's so easy to actually go wrong with it. If your color, if the blush looks like your natural flush after a workout, that's a great option for you. Okay, let's talk about extra tips for a lifted look. So I've got my bronzer here, just dabbing it on a tissue because I always do that with all the products. You want to pair blush and bronzer. Your bronzer needs to sit just below where you've actually applied that blush. So remember that line we talked about? You're going to go on that line just below, and that really complements your blush. See how that just also helps to kind of lift it a bit more? See that? Because before the blush is kind of floating there and it's lifted, but it's floating. Here, this is almost like anchoring it up a bit. And then I just like to go into the sides. See how that's just kind of like almost holding it up now? And then I take it into the perimeter. There you go. It really does finish it off. So another couple of little tricks for you. If you mix a liquid blush with a little bit of concealer, you're actually watering it down a little bit and you're perfecting it, making it the perfect blush for your skin tone. Because your concealer is matched to your skin tone, by mixing it into a blush, you're actually just kind of creating your own personalized blush. It's a game changer, and I know you're gonna love it, and it's really good if you want that subtle finish. Okay, I'm just gonna do my lips. This is my Makeup by Mario Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil in Smoky Pink. And then I just blend the lip line. Let's use the Pillow Talk Charlotte Tilbury Lip Bath. I haven't used that in a while. Yeah, that's nice. I forgot how good that is. Also, quick tip, if you are over 40 and you have textured skin, or if you just have textured skin, try and stay away from the shimmer blushes because they'll just attract more attention to the area and you really don't want that. If you like this video, please do like it, subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss my future videos. And also please don't forget, I do have an online publication, The Beauty Breakfast Club. So you can actually go head straight to it, thebeautybreakfastclub.com. Go straight to the website, subscribe, you'll get newsletters to your inbox, and it's really, really good, everything about beauty. And there is a paid version, but that literally just costs you the same as getting yourself one coffee a month. That means you unlock the whole site, plus you get to join the group chat. You're gonna love it. It's so fun. We all meet each other, like we've all got to know each other, and yeah, I'd love to see you there. Okay, let's recap on some of the mistakes. So some of the mistakes are using the same technique you used in your 20s. It's just not gonna work. We are not 20 anymore. Maybe some of you are who are watching this. If you are, great. You are in such an amazing time. Make the most of that lift. Make the most of those like lifted cheekbones, the lack of texture. Make the most of all of that. But generally, if you have moved on from there, you don't want to stick to the same routine. You need to adapt, you need to change. Also, another big mistake, overloading the blush product close to the nose. It really is a no-no. It brings too much in towards your nose and makes everything look heavy. Right, don't drag your blush down towards this bottom section of your face. Blush should not be sitting below your nose at any point. It shouldn't. Remember that whole trick I showed you. Corner of the lip to the top of the ear. That's your kind of line. You should not be going below that. Your blush should look like it's blended in. It should not look like it's sitting on top. So think about what texture, what formula works best for you. It may mean that you need to try a few to get through it and figure it out. So this is the finished look. Tell me what you think. Do you see how we've still got that really nice luminous look and we haven't even added any highlighter and it's not flat? And that's what I love about this. And I have double layered it. I've got the cream blush underneath and then I've got a powder on top. And that's why I meant that powder is amazing because it's not flat. You're gonna love that powder. If you love this, make sure you do, again, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell button, and leave a comment. All the products are listed in my description. And don't go anywhere because the next video is out soon and I know you're gonna love it, and I'll see you then.